Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're doing well this morning. We're going to talk about two things here today. We're going to talk about Alec Baldwin, and the Markles. Because there are a couple of news about the Markles that came that, when is it ever going to stop? Seriously, when is it ever going to stop? And in my opinion, people, it would be when they are stopped. We'll get to that. I want to talk about Alec Baldwin and Helena Hutchins. And how sad. Please keep in mind, as I said in that disclaimer, these are all my thoughts and opinions. But in my opinion, Helena Hutchins' husband sold her out and is profiting, exploiting her death. I'll tell you why. Now I am such a huge fan. I am a huge fan of Emily D. Baker. I really am a huge fan of hers. I really am. So when I hear her talking, there were live ammunitions, those are the questions we have to ask. Why were there live ammunitions? And the gun. Is that really the question that we should be asking? I've talked about a comparison of a car. A car in itself is not a weapon. However, if somebody who doesn't know how to drive gets in the car and starts driving, chances are this person will end up hurting her or himself, hurting others. And what are we going to do? Let's say somebody who doesn't know how to drive, but she takes the car because she thinks she does. The person that gets in the car knows that she doesn't have a driver's license, knows that most likely she doesn't, know how to drive properly. But she gets in the car anyways and starts driving around. And as a result, she ends up killing somebody, runs over a pedestrian, or hits another car head on, or doesn't know how to brake, whatever the results are. What are we going to do? Are we going to ask who told this person to get in the car? Or why didn't this person have a driver's license? Why wasn't this person allowed to have a driver's license? Is it the fault of the DMV? Or are we going to say, this person knew the rules, chose to ignore them, got in the car, and somebody got hurt? Alec Baldwin had been working in the industry for more than 40 years, working with guns for many years. He knew the safety protocols that were in place to avoid precisely these types of situations. He knew that. After the death of this Lee guy, there were very strict protocols, and all actors, they were taught this, they were given this, they were called in. They knew. There were little booklets. There were safety meetings held in place that indicated that only the armorer could hand the gun to an actor, and he would, once the armorer checked the gun, he would then use it. And guns were only used for the actual scenes, not for practicing, not for anything. And always, the only person who could hand him the gun who can hand the gun over is the armorer. Now, we have a gun. They're real bullets, fake bullets, whatever you want to call it. Had the armorer been called to check the gun, as it was her job, before handing it over to Alec Baldwin, the armorer would have checked and see, wait a minute, there's a live round here. Let me change that for you. Then she would have handed over the gun, she would have checked the gun, she would have checked the bullets, and she would have realized that there was a live round there, or live rounds, whatever it is. But was she called? No. So Alec Baldwin knew that the person who handed him over the gun was not the armorer. Alec Baldwin knew that the armorer wasn't present at the time, and that the armorer must check the gun each time before handing it over to the actor. He knew that. He knew that because he's been 40 years in the business, also because there were seminars and there were safety protocols written and explained to everybody there. He had gotten complaints about the safety issues. People had walked out of that. Did he abide by those protocols? Of course not. Why? It is my very opinion that because he thought that he knew better. Oh, I've been in the business 40 years. Nobody needs to check anything for me. And also the assistant director, who were also both older than the armorer. They probably thought, oh, you know what? We're just going to have an armorer just for the sake of saying that we have an armorer, just to comply with what's required of us in order to make the movie. But we're really not going to listen to her. She's actually going to be doing this other job because we know better. This is my take on it. But even if this isn't what happened, he knew that the only person who could hand him over the gun was the armorer, and that the armorer had to check it every time it was handed. He also knew that he's not supposed to be pointing a gun if it's not doing a scene, because guns were only supposed to be used for scenes. Now, many people have made so much, oh, there was a live round in the gun. Okay, fine, so? There could have been 20 live rounds had the armorer been allowed to check the gun before handing it over. She would have seen it, and she would have changed the live rounds, and she would have given it to him to hand over the gun. But the armorer wasn't even notified that Alec Baldwin had taken hold of the gun, and he was waving it around. So now Emily D. Baker is going, we need to find out. By the way, there were live rounds on the set. I'll tell you why. No. Because they were doing, on top of doing the shooting scenes, for the movie, they were practicing, doing for fun targets and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that they had live rounds there because, as they said, they were doing fun shots, runs or whatever. So it could have been one that got mixed up. But again, that is irrelevant because the armorer wasn't even in the church. She didn't even know that Alec Baldwin had taken a hold of the gun. That the assistant director had taken a hold of the gun and given it to him. She didn't even know. When she heard the shot, she's like, what the hell happened? So to me, this is sophistry. And I'm surprised and a little bit disappointed that Emily D. Baker is not picking up on that because I love her. But, when I saw it, and I actually left a comment and I said, the comment here is not whether there were live rounds or whether there were 20 live rounds. Because let me tell you something, even with dummy bullets, you can't kill somebody if you're close up enough. And Alec Baldwin was incredibly close to her. So even if he hadn't killed her, he would have hurt her very seriously because you are such a close range. People have this misperception that if you have a dummy round, and the only thing that you don't have is the tip, but you still have the impact of the bullet, of the bullet. I mean, what do you guys think? Now, why do I say that her husband sold her out? Because he has been made executive producer of the movie in which his wife was killed by the man who killed his wife irresponsibly. Now, as an executive producer, he gets part of the profits from the movie. So he's going to be executive. Not only that, but it sends a wrong message to the police, because now it's going to make the police harder to say, wait a minute, if you're going to prosecute Alec Baldwin and the people for killing his wife, then basically you're shutting down the movie and they can't make any money of Helena Hutchins' death because then, we can't make the movie and he won't be able to collect the money. I am pretty sure that the agreement that they got to is like, you're going to get some money now, but we're going to make you executive producer and you're going to get a hell of a lot more money when this movie's made because you're going to be profiting from the movie. That is absolutely disgusting. And also, it sends a message saying, wait, if the husband is okay with it and is willing to work with Alec Baldwin, then why is the police bothering them? Why? Because somebody got killed. And clearly her husband is not interested in seeking justice for his wife other than making money for himself. And I know that it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. To me, that's how it looks like. That's how it is from what it is. I wouldn't be able to work with anybody if I had a husband and I were in love with him and he get killed by somebody who's negligent and arrogant. Because what made Alec Baldwin ignore the safety protocols is ignorant. It is arrogance that he thinks he knew better than that young armorer. So for those, I don't feel sorry anymore for the husband because it's in collusion, in my opinion, with Alec Baldwin, trying to make the job harder of the of the police to prosecute Alec Baldwin and those responsible. And by the way, the only one they want to throw down the wolves is the armorer, who, in my opinion, is not guilty of anything because she didn't fail at her job. It would be different if she had been there, she had checked the gun, handed it over to Alec Baldwin as safety protocols said, and then there was a live round bullet and he had killed the woman, then we would be saying, wait a minute, but the armorer checked the gun and she handed it over to Alec Baldwin. She didn't do her job right. But this is not the case here. I mean, please leave me your comments, okay? Now, I just read in the news. I was listening to some of it, and now we'll go to the Markles. I was listening to people saying, well, Meghan Markle didn't know what to do. She didn't understand. There were issues there that, the courtiers didn't handle it very well. And now apparently after they do their movie and the television show, they want to come back into the royal fold. That's a story that they're starting to put out there in case everything fails. That Harry and Meghan, they are the big people. They're building the bridges to come back. They're not building any bridges. If it fails, they're trying to set the seeds to come back. Now, I don't understand why people, and I don't know if the media has an agenda when it comes to that. But if you look at it, Oprah Winfrey, 17, all these magazines on a cycle every 8 hours. I woke up they all have the same little video. Meghan Markle is altruistic, Meghan Markle is charitable. Now, many people are also saying that Meghan Markle, who founded Archwell with Prince Harry, have donated $1 million to this Ving thing, this very little known charity. This very little known charity has barely been working. They haven't donated the money. They pledged the money. Now, the reason why, in my opinion, of course, they chose this little known charity is so they would have complete control of it. Because that's what they do, because a really well-known established charity will want nothing to do with them. Respectable charities will want nothing to do with Harry and Meghan Markle. So this is why I say they prey on people. They prey on very weak and vulnerable organizations. Those are the actions of criminals. They prey on the weak. They prey on the vulnerable. Please check that. And they haven't donated it. They've pledged it. Again, just like Harry pledged the $1.5 million from the profits of his book. What if his book doesn't make any profits? Just like Meghan Markle pledged to donate something. I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. And people are running with it. Even the Express, even Daily Mail, they're publishing that. Why aren't they looking? Why aren't they working with proper, decent things? They don't need to work with Ving. Harry and Meghan Markle could have said, you know what? We are going to donate $1,000. Right now, we have the money right now. We're going to choose, I don't know, people here. And we're going to, X amount of people, and we're going to give them $1,000. Why didn't they do that? Why do they have to partner with very little known organizations? My opinion is that if something goes wrong, they blame the other organization. And they're not going to donate it themselves. They're trying to get the money to donate it through them. It's absolutely, and I'm surprised. I am surprised that very respectable people are reporting this as they donated it. They haven't. They pledged it. So Ving has to find the people that they're going to donate the money to, and they're going to see where the money is going to come from. So it's enough. And now, and the lawsuit, Harry's lawsuit, they must have money, because suing is not cheap, let me tell you. Even when you're the victim, suing is not cheap. So I don't know what to tell you. And please leave me your comments. What do you think? Do you think that Meghan Markle chooses vulnerable organizations so she would have complete control over them? Do you think that she does that to manipulate the situation? Do you think that she's a predator? Do you think that when Netflix flops and the book flops, that they will beg to come back? Do you think that King Charles will take it? Do you think the titles will be taken away? Please leave me your thoughts and comments, okay?